Good evening. You're watching 7 at 7 here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, getting you the day's top 7 stories this evening. Let's begin with the headlines. Congress hits the streets in protest as ED raids National Herald building in the capital, searches at 12 locations in connection with the money laundering case. Partha aide Arpita Mukherjee breaks silence on 50 crore cash mountain seized by ED, says it doesn't belong to her. Her nail parlour and 4 other properties raided in Kolkata. Congress attacks Modi government over Lal Singh Chadha, backs Amir Khan over boycott trend. Congress Neta Priyank Kharge says India has become intolerant. Siddaramaya's 75th birthday bash, big political flashpoint between him and Shiv Kumar over CM face race. Rahul to attend the event, grand preparations on for the mega event tomorrow. Kerala battles monsoon fury, red alert in 7 Kerala districts, incessant rain prediction till Thursday, floods, landslides in several areas. Big suspense and showdown over US House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. After China's threat, US wants Dragon not to escalate tensions.
China tries to create some kind of crisis or otherwise escalate tensions, that would be entirely on Beijing.
And clear Pakistan link emerges in drone killing of al-Zawahiri. Islamabad stooge and Taliban Interior Minister Haqqani had sheltered Al-Qaeda chief in posh Kabul safe house. As we count down to Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, let's get you details of how China is reacting with one provocation after another. They've now released a propaganda video of a Navy drill that's being conducted by the People's Liberation Army. This is the video, in fact, that shows a coordinated training on China's Type 075 amphibious assault ship Hainan. So China continuing to provoke, trying to send out a very clear message to the United States, even as we're counting down right now to Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taiwan. It's expected that in the next 30 minutes or so, she could actually touch down in Taipei. I have with us Shiv Arur also with us. Shiv, you're tracking right now, live, where Nancy Pelosi's flight is. Could you give us those details?
You know, it's incredible, Akshita, but Flight Radar, which is the most popular site for live tracking of aircraft, has completely crashed because of the thousands of people who are tracking this one little flight. Now, here in pink is SPA 19. That is the 737 C-40 US Air Force aircraft that carries Nancy Pelosi. And here's Taiwan. So it's currently flying over ocean right now. It's taken pretty a circuitous route. As you can see, it's gone all the way from Malaysia, and instead of flying straight, to Taiwan, which is right about there, in this area, it's taken this circuitous route over, all these countries, Brunei, past the Philippine Sea, and now is approaching Taiwan. So we're expecting it to reach in the next 45 minutes to an hour. But SPA 19 is the 737 that is being tracked. All through today, we and our team have been looking at this aircraft, Akshita, looking at where it's traveling. I think China is going to actually take heart in the fact that instead of flying straight to Taiwan from Kuala Lumpur, the aircraft has taken a bit of a different sort of flight path, probably owing to the fact that there's such huge interest in where this aircraft really is at this point of time. But right now we're looking straight at it. These are slightly live deferred pictures, Akshita, so this aircraft will probably be slightly ahead to where you see it right now, but in the next hour it's going to be landing in Taiwan.
So, there are a lot of questions right now, Shiv, on whether it's happening or not. There's still a question mark on whether Pelosi will touch down. The route that you're showing definitely seems to be headed right towards Taiwan.
Yeah.
The flight there and going straight towards Taiwan.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I don't think there's any question right now. I think we can more or less say that it's headed in that direction. Let's also get your details at this point of the security that's been put up at Taiwan right now. Security being beefed up where Pelosi is expected will be staying in a hotel in Taipei. The police are in fact put up at the Grand Hyatt Hotel in Taipei. Barricades that also have been set up by cops there. We're getting you those images here on India Today of the kind of massive security arrangements that have been put in place for Pelosi's visit. All preparations done right now. The messaging is something everyone's going to be focusing on. with this particular visit happening, it's expected that Pelosi, once she touches down about 30 minutes from now, will make her way first to the hotel in Taipei at the Grand Hyatt. There's still a question mark as to, what time she'll land, but 30 minutes is what we're expecting, considering we're tracking live on Flight Radar exactly where her plane is, as Shiv just showed you. I'd also like to bring in Gaurav Sawant on this broadcast. Gaurav, you've been live through the day from early this morning on India Today, getting us all the details. What's Pelosi's schedule likely to look like?
So she arrives there this evening. That's what we're being told. In the next half an hour, her aircraft should be landing there. The moment that happens, we expect a high-octane rhetoric from China. Of course, as far as Nancy Pelosi is concerned, there's a very important signal that's being sent out. As far as democracies are concerned, this is strengthening democracies against expansionist forces. That's the message that is being sent out. She rests at her hotel today. There are a series of meetings that are scheduled. Tomorrow, extremely interesting, is not just meeting the president of Taiwan, Tsai Ing-wen, but equally important, if not more, the address and interaction with members of parliament in Taiwan. And that's a huge signal that will go out not just to China, but to the rest of the democratic world. It becomes very important, Akshata, also because here is a democracy, a semi-presidential state, members of parliament who are already facing sanctions now from China, and yet responding, saying, we will not buckle under Chinese pressure.
Very, very true. Gaurav, just stay with me. I also want to bring in India Today's correspondent on the ground. We promised we'd get you coverage from the ground, and we're getting you the latest updates of what's happening in Taipei, in Taiwan, which is where Nancy Pelosi's plane is expected to land in just a few moments from now. Wen Yi Li, India Today's correspondent, is joining us on this broadcast. Wen, can you give us a sense of, what's the mood in Taipei right now, with just moments to go for Pelosi to land there? What is the mood and what's the reception going to be like for Pelosi? Because there are obviously a lot of international diplomatic repercussions to this visit.
Yes, so there's just a lot of international media covering the Taiwan, China-U.S. tensions going up and growing. But actually, in Taiwan, a lot of Taiwanese people are pretty calm. And you can see I'm at the park right now. A lot of people, the children are still in the playground. So they are pretty, people are not actually feeling the tension is or coming or a war is happening.
What do Taiwanese believe will be the takeaway of this kind of a visit diplomatically as well? China has resorted and I'm sure you've seen the kind of reactions that's coming from Beijing to this visit by Pelosi. What do the Taiwanese people hope will emerge from this kind of a visit? Why do you believe that it could be something that's significant or symbolic?
So this kind of visits usually U.S. senior officials visiting Taiwan, you would see these kind of situations where which China is giving a lot of threats. So Chinese people are really familiar with this kind of situation, and so that's why people are more calm about this. But I think the Taiwanese people are now expecting more from the U.S. government to see maybe a lot of Taiwan-U.S. corporations could be taking place in the future.
Okay, Wen, I'm going to come back to you in just a few moments. I request you to stay on with us. We're going to continue getting you all the reports from the ground. But why are we talking about this story? Why is it so hugely significant for the entire world, for us here in India? Our next report, we break down all the details you need to know about this story, the reactions particularly that have come in from China on this reported visit by Nancy Pelosi to Taipei.
U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi meeting members of parliament in Malaysia ahead of her crucial and globally watched visit to Taiwan. Pelosi, who began her trip to Asia on Monday in Singapore, is expected to arrive in Taiwan's capital, Taipei, later today. Despite warnings from Beijing, the United States has said it will not be intimidated by Chinese saber-rattling over Pelosi's visit to Taiwan, an island off the Chinese mainland that says it's not part of the People's Republic.
Previous speakers visited Taiwan. Many members of Congress go to Taiwan, including this year. And so if the speaker does decide to visit and China tries to create create some kind of crisis or otherwise escalate tensions, that would be entirely on Beijing.
The Speaker has the right to visit Taiwan, and the Speaker of the House has visited Taiwan before without incident, as have many members of Congress, including this year. The world has seen the United States government be very clear that nothing has changed about our One China policy, which is, of course, guided by the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 joint U.S. PRC communiques, and the 6 assurances.
China is seeing red over Pelosi's Taiwan tour. Beijing has declared that its military will never sit idle. It has also sounded an alert, telling the United States, "Don't say we didn't warn you."
We can see such a visit is apparently very much dangerous, very much provocative. If the U.S. insists on making the visit, China will take firm and strong measures to safeguard our national sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Hours before Pelosi's impending Taiwan arrival, China released a series of propaganda videos showing its military equipment and carrying out a series of drills. Is China then preparing to take the first shot? Taiwan is preparing its air raid shelters amidst rising tensions. The island nation has vowed to defend itself and has made strengthening its defenses a priority with regular military and civil defense drills. Other preparations include designating shelters where people can take cover if Chinese missiles start flying in, not in purpose-built military bunkers, but in existing underground spaces like basement car parks, parts of the subway system, and underground shopping centers.
Most everyone has a basement in their building. It doesn't matter if they're categorized as an official shelter. What's important is to know what you need to bring with you, what's currently there, and for you to be able to stay there for a long period of time.
When you look at the war in Ukraine, when they strike, in the beginning they would hit military targets. But it's hard to imagine that they would not hurt the innocent public. Normal buildings, organizations or schools could get hit by strikes too. In the same vein, Taiwan could face the same situation.
The China-US showdown is only escalating. The world is on edge over conflict red alert in Taiwan. Bureau Report, India Today.
And the United States is leaving nothing to chance. We've been seeing repeated warnings, direct warnings from China. And amid that, Japanese media reports suggesting that 13 U.S. Air Force aircraft have departed military bases in Japan. These media reports suggest that 8 fighters and 5 tankers have departed the country. These planes are reported to be the Speaker of the House's escort to Taipei. So all of, in fact, these Air Force aircraft is going to be escorting Pelosi as she touches down in Taipei. Routine, more or less, because according to these Japanese media reports, they are part of the escort to Taipei. Let me take us back across to Wenyi Li. She's reporting live for us from Taipei. There's been a lot of warnings that have been issued by China. They've put out videos showing the kind of military drills, the kind of Navy drills that they've been holding. They've also warned that they won't sit by idly. Amid that, we're hearing that there's going to be huge security provided by Taiwanese authorities to Nancy Pelosi, and also U.S. security that will be deployed in large numbers.
So yes, right now we're seeing, because Taiwanese government has actually kept a really low profile on this. So we are really seeing these all from the outside news reports, and yeah. So these are the information that you will probably get from on like international news such as Reuters or other news outlets. But actually, the Taiwanese government is really trying to keep really low file, I would say.
What's the news that's coming in with regards to these Navy drills by China in the Taiwan Strait? Any update on that? Because there's also a video that's been published by Chinese mouthpieces online where they've put out these propaganda videos essentially timed to Pelosi's visit.
So these kind of videos are not the first time posted by the Chinese government. Usually, like once in a while, they will post this kind of videos, so that people probably don't see this as a really dangerous signal. I would say.
Okay, when we're going to come back to you for all the updates on the ground, so request you to stay on with us. At this point, with how things are escalating on the ground and China directly warning the US against Pelosi touching down in Taipei, what does this mean for Taiwan? And in our next report, we kind of decode for you what this island nation is all about and compare the Taiwanese resources versus Chinese resources.
China has been flexing its muscles eyeing Taiwan. Chinese fighter jets zooming into Taiwanese airspace. Frequent air incursions have become a bullying tactic, keeping the island nation on edge. China's aggressive maneuvers are a chilling reminder of how Russia invaded Ukraine. The threat is real. In response, Taiwan has been carrying out exercises to combat air raids. Mock missile alerts, sirens being sounded, people rushing indoors, much like the recent scenes in Ukraine, where a real war is still on. And amidst all this now comes the big warning from Beijing. China has spoken of serious consequences if US House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi visits Taiwan. This has far-reaching geopolitical ramifications, making America wary. If the visit were to happen, Pelosi would be the highest-ranking US politician to travel to Taiwan since 1997.
There is no comparison of China and Taiwan's, military expenditure, the strength of their militaries, the size of their armies, the size of their, aircraft, the size of their land power. So there's on every single parameter, China kind of outshines Taiwan.
China claims Taiwan, a democratically run island nation close to its southeastern coast, as its territory. This has always been rejected by Taiwan. China has not taken the growing diplomacy and Taiwan cozying up to the US very well. As another conflict looms large, is Taiwan ready to take on a mighty China? Here too there are similarities with the Russia-Ukraine war. In case of a military confrontation, China's resources look to overpower Taiwan. China is not ruling out a military response. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Zhao Lijian warned of firm and resolute measures and that the US will be responsible for the serious consequences if Mrs. Pelosi went ahead with her visit. The military response has been even more aggressive. If the US side insists on going ahead, the Chinese military will never sit idle and will take strong measures to thwart any external interference and separatist attempts for Taiwanese independence. Colonel Tan Keifei told the China Daily. Here's how the two militaries stand against each other. China's military budget is $252 billion compared to a meager $13 billion of Taiwan. In terms of numbers, Taiwan is not a match for China. China has roughly 20 lakh active military personnel compared to 1,63,000 in Taiwan. China has over 4,000 combat aircraft, while Taiwan only a little over 800. China's combat fleet is far superior to what Taiwan has. When it comes to tanks, China has over 5,000, Taiwan only 1,700. In terms of armored vehicles, China has 14,000 compared to Taiwan's tiny 1,700. In artillery too, China completely dwarfs Taiwan. Coming to maritime power, once again the Chinese Navy has far more firepower. China has over 700 frontline ships, Taiwan has under 100. China has 2 functional aircraft carriers with a third one almost ready. Taiwan doesn't have the luxury of having even one. The Chinese Navy has over 70 submarines, while Taiwan has only 4. A direct comparison of the militaries doesn't paint an accurate picture, though, of what it would be like if the two countries actually went into war. Taiwan, as it stands, enjoys the support of many countries across the world. But whether this new flashpoint will escalate to a full-scale conflict or not is difficult to predict. But with tensions rising and China's aggressive moves, a flare-up cannot be ruled out. The world is closely keeping an eye on China's next moves. With Abhishek Balla in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And we're tracking live right now the movement and the trajectory of Nancy Pelosi's plane. And the update we can get you is that it's expected at 8:14 p.m. to be exact. At 8:14 p.m. Indian Standard Time, Nancy Pelosi is expected to touch down in Taipei. That's the latest update we can get you. Let me take this back across to Wenyi Lee. She's reporting live from Taipei for us. So when the update that we have right now is that in about an hour, it's expected that Nancy Pelosi will touch down in your city.
Yes, so Nancy Pelosi is expected to arrive at around 10 or to 10:30 in Taipei time, and she is expected to stay overnight here in Taipei. And she's a lot of the press is actually waiting near the hotel as well. And she actually is expected to have a almost full day schedule ahead in Taiwan. Following, she may be visit Taiwan's President Taiwan, and then the legislative yuan, which is Taiwan's Congress, and then we'll have a luncheon later, a visit to Human Rights Park.
Okay, so important highlights from the itinerary that we'll be tracking very, very closely. 8:14 p.m. tonight, Indian Standard Time. Nancy Pelosi will be touching down in Taipei for the truly historic and symbolic visit to Taiwan. Thanks very much, Ben, for joining us. Not everything that circulates on social media is true, and that's why we here at India Today, we get you a fact check segment. There's a video that's currently doing the rounds on social media, which claims that it is a part of the Bundelkhand Expressway, which was recently inaugurated, looking completely damaged. We fact-checked this video and found it to be false. This is, in fact, a video of Madhya Pradesh's Kaliosot Bridge that's completely damaged right now. We'll continue getting you more such fact checks here on India Today. That's all we have time for on 7 at 7.